So I was working on my project this week and I was really working on this labyrinth one. And I was looking at the sensor values and for each of my ports that I have across the top here, when I was connecting this artwork to the hooks here, it was giving me different values for the sensors. And some of the sensors, when I was touching the piece, it wasn't really changing that much in value. And what you notice of this, I didn't really plan this out so well that I didn't have part of the circuit going over other parts of the circuit. So even though I have some tape as an insulator, so there's no electrical current going through, it still creates problems for this type of sensor. So the capacitance sensor, what it does is there's a metal piece of foil, and then there's your hand. And what it's doing is it's measuring how much time it takes for that space to fill up with electrons, okay, or its capacitance of holding those electrons. So if I have metal or the tape covering another piece, even though there's tape in between, right? If those two plates from different sensors are over each other, it's actually measuring the capacitance between those two sensors and not my hand. So it's not reacting to my hand. So what I did was I made this new board and I have it so that I have no overlapping pieces, okay? And for this one, I kind of just made squares on the back first. I made the circuitry first, and then I decided what kind of artwork I would have on it. And I was thinking of doing hands because it's kind of draws people in to touch it. And so now I'm getting values that you can measure the sound. So now when you touch, I'm getting different sounds. Okay. The 3 and the 0, there's some things that are wrong with that. And I think that it might be that the pieces are too close to each other on the back, like flat-wise instead of on top. But it's still giving me a variety of values that I talked with Stephanie this week about defining each sensor and it's like mapping its range. So when the value drops, then the sound would play. So kind of like running the program through a calibration for the first couple seconds and then going through and making sure they all work. So right now this code here is playing a different sound every time you touch a hand. And when I touch a hand, it will stop the previous sound. So there we hear a kind of bee buzzing around, some of the wind. And then when I hit down here, it's kind of rushing water. So it stops the sounds when you hit it. We also talked about maybe some students having mantras or quotes that would encourage confidence. I do have a code that would continually play the sounds over each other. And we talked about creating another list that would make it so that it could only play a max of 3 sounds on top of each other. What was happening was when the player was trying to play 12 sounds, it was crashing. And also 12 sounds are a little bit overwhelming, that maybe 3 sounds over each other is kind of nice. So if I take this wind and add some water to it, great. And put like some bees in it. If too much sound ends up crashing crashing the computer. Okay, it has a problem running the sound through the operating system. So this is what I work on this week, and my sensors work a lot better because I don't have the foil overlapping each other. And I'm going to work on finishing up some lessons that would supplement this, kind of the design brief that goes with it, and some sample strategies for sheltered instruction and sentence frames for my EL students.